I'm Gunilla Rudander, and very welcome to this webinar. I'm working for Crayon, and after this webinar, I hope you will be more effective, and I will also repeat some of the most common functions you can use together with your analysis. Here is the agenda, and it's not only to make analysis like finding out the mean values of salaries or frequencies of which job categories employees are working with. Sometimes you have to select a special group like male under 35 years, or you might want to split the file to repeat the same analysis for each group. For both select and split file, you use the data menu. And when you have made some statistics into a table or a graph, you might want to change the layout. To save time, if you have any preferred colors or charts, then you can change the settings. So I will show you that also. Before or after some analysis have been done, it might be necessary to prepare the data with some calculation or recodings. And for that, we use the transform menu. And then I will repeat the programming language that we call SPSS syntax. So you can save your commands as a documentation and be able to reuse these commands very fast. And in the end, I will do a summary of the session today. So just to repeat the last week beginner session, in SPSS Statistics, you work with 3 windows, and I will use all of them today. We have first the data window with all your data information. Then we have the output where you get all the results like tables and graphs. And then we have the syntax, the window where you save your commands as programming code. And if you want to use R programming, you will do that in this window also. So let's start with the data menu. And here you can find the data management commands like aggregate, merge file, restructure. And today I will get through 2 very useful commands like select and split data. But I will also show you another split commands that you can use within the data window when you are scrolling. So I will show you the split and select first. The split is when you analyze all data but is split up from 1 or more category variables. And select is when you analyze only one specific group and only that one. So let's jump over to the software. I will work with the same employee data file as like last week. An effective way is to use the command file and recently used data, and then I go to the file. So here is the employee data, and we are interested to study the salaries and find differences between groups. And I would like to split my analysis by division. Here we have division. So first, it's good to see the distribution of divisions. So I start with the frequency table. I go to Analyze and Descriptive Statistics Frequencies. And I would first also say that one smart thing, if you have a long list of variables, is to type in the first letter in the label or variable name. And here I know that this is D for division. So if I click on D on my keyboard, then I jump directly to the first label starting with D. And then I can just get it over to the variables list. As you see, I have the labels here in this window or this box. If you want to see the variable names that you have in the parentheses instead, then you just right click in this dialog box, and then you can change here to display variable names instead. So that's a smart way. I go back and take the display variable labels again. So right click. So I click OK. And now we are coming to my output window, the second window. You find the windows here, as you see here, employee data and the output. So here we have the division distribution, and I have 5 division categories here, where we can see that the most cases are in the first 3 categories. And now I will do all my analysis split it up by division. So I will go to another command called data and split file. And here I choose the way to split. I have 2 to choose between, and I take the organize output by groups first. And I choose division as my breaking variable. And here in this box, it must be only category variables. You can also choose several category variables. So if I take gender as an example, I will get analysis split it up by 10 groups, 5 multiplied with 2. But now I use just division, so I will get 5 results. And then I click OK. If I now change to my data window, you can see here in the right bottom corner, split by division. So that's a reminding for me that the split is on. So now it's time to do the analysis. I will do a descriptive statistics here of salary and age. So I double click salary and age and then OK. And now you will see that the analysis will be split up by the division. So 5 different tables is coming up here. And you can see what the mean value of the salary is, or how it differs between the different divisions here. You can see that it's very high here in the management division, 39,000, compared to North America division, for example. And let's also do a chart. So I go to Graphs, Chart Builder. Here I take just a simple chart. I drag and drop this one and put salary here in the x-axis. And thanks to the ruler, I will get a histogram. And not only one, I will get 5 different histograms, 1 per division, like that. So as you see, it doesn't matter which analysis you do. It could also be more advanced analysis like regression. Still, the result will be split up 5 times because of 5 divisions. I will end up with a frequency table of gender. And I put in gender here and OK. So I will see how the gender distribution looks like in the 5 divisions. But if you want to have a more compact results instead of 5 different tables, then it's better to choose another type of split. So I go back to the data split file command like this, or as I also repeated last week, you can go here and go directly to the split file command here. And this time I will try this, compare groups instead, and click OK. And let's do the frequency command again so you can see the difference. So I go to the frequencies, the gender is there, and I click OK. And now we get a compact result. And it's better when you have to compare the different distributions. It's much easier because we get 1 single frequencies instead of 5 different. If I go in here and have a look here on this 12, this 12 people is male in the management division. So I would like to study only this group of 12 people. So then I'm going to use another command, the data select command instead. So first, before I do that, I have to turn off the split. Because if you remember, here we can see the split by division is still there. So to get back and get everyone together in one result, then you have to go to the split file and analyze all cases, and then OK. After that, you can just have a look here. It's gone. We don't have this small command here in the bottom. So I go to the data, select cases this time. But before I do that, I have to remember which codes I have in gender and division. So there is one smart tool here in the toolbar, the variable tool. If I have a look here, you can see the gender first have 1 and 2. So it's the code 1 in gender that we are going to select. And also in division, we need code 5, the management. So code 5 in division and code 1 in gender. So that's something that I have to remember. So I go to set data, select cases here in the bottom, and then I click on if condition is satisfied and if. And here in the empty box, I should write the condition for the selection, but then I must know the codes for gender and division. And if you don't remember, it's also a way to get the information here. Just right click on the variable name and then variable information. And here you have the codes. So male is 1. So I click in gender. You can also type in gender, but this is much faster, I think. Equal 1. And then we have the division. I right click and get some information here, variable information. And I click on this little arrow and see that it's 5. And then I close it with this cross. So division, I put it in and equal 5. If you don't want to use this special sign here, you can also write down and. It doesn't matter. And then I click on continue and I click on OK. Let's do descriptive statistics again of age and salary. So I do the descriptive statistics, monthly salary and age is there. So I just click OK. And now we have the descriptive statistics for only these 12 people, the 12 male in the management. We can see that it's the correct group, 12. So we can see what the mean value is in the salary. If we have a look in the Mini Navigator here to the left, I have something called notes. That's the notebook. That's closed book, but if I double click on this book like that, you can see good information here. The date, the file, and also we have the filter here. I can double click and get it bolded like that. So we have the filter that reminds us that the descriptive statistics that is coming here below is just for gender equal 1 and division equal 5. I will close it again just by double click. If we go to the window, the data window again. So let's go back to the data window. We can now see that we have filter on in the right bottom corner here. And we also got an extra variable called filter. See it here? And this is a very good variable to save. But first, if you want to save it, you must rename it. As a repeat from last week, just double click on the column head like this. And you can do the rename. So let's call this male management. And in this, if we go back, we have 2 categories here. The code 1 is for male in the management division and 0 is the other one. I can sort it just by right click on this column head and then sort descending. And then you can see that we have the selected first and the not selected. You can see here to the left that they are not selected. So only the 12 first people are selected now. If we turn off the value labels that we have here, just by clicking here, you can see that we have 1 and 0 here. And this new variable is also good to be used in split command or as a filter variable in the future analysis. This file doesn't have so much information, so let's pretend that you have some more variables. I can just take some of these, copy them and put them here, paste it in. So as you see, I have to scroll here. If I want to have a look on all variables, if I have a lot of variables, it's better to use something that is called split window. Let's first go to the PowerPoint and talk a little bit about split data window. And that's when we want to scroll and lock the data file of any reason. So you can lock the data window like you do in, for example, Excel. And the command to do this you can find in the window menu. So I will show how you do that in SPSS Statistics. Let's go back to the window here and I go to the window menu and there you have it in the top, split. And you get 2 lines, but I just want to use one of them. So I will double click on the horizontal line to get rid of it. Like that. And I can now scroll in these 2 parts of window like this. I can also drag and drop this line to the left, for example. Then I can follow the personal number much easier, as you can see here. So that's a smart thing to know. Let's go over to the PowerPoint again, because now we have come to the next part, and that's the edit results part. And I will show you how to do some changings or editing in table and chart, but also how to change the settings if you want to have a special color of your chart all the time. So that's what I'm going to do. And there is a lot of different ways of editing tables. And here you can see one example from the compendium you get in the web training for beginners. And you double click the table first so you can see this dashed line around the table. And then you know that you are in the edit mode. And then you can start doing all your changings. And in this example, I show how to change the text. Count is changing to a number. And I just need to type in number in one of the cells, and then everyone will be changed. So I will show how to do that. So let's go back. In this case, I don't need the data. I go to the output because I'm going to make some changings here. So let's take this table we have here, gender of employee. I would like to change female to woman instead. First, double click on the table. If it doesn't work, double click again, and you can see this small dashed line here. So now we are in the edit mode. You also get a toolbar here, and you can go in on the female. If you click twice, then you get a whole row, but I just want to double click on the female. So double click on this and then type in woman. And as you see, it will be changed everywhere in this table. So this was only one table. But what about if you have a lot of tables? Then it takes maybe too long time to do the changings like that. For example, if we go up to the frequencies command that we had here, we have a lot of frequency. Say, for example, that I want to change the text frequency to number instead. Then it's better to use the replace command that you can find in many programs. So you go to the replace that you find in the edit menu, and then go down here to replace. I find frequency, and I will replace with number, and then replace all. And 7 replacements were made, we can see here. So now you can see in this frequency table, we have number here, also here number. So it has been changed. Another smart thing is to use a special template for the table layout. So let's go to this PowerPoint again. You can create your own template, or you can use the list of templates that are available already in the software. And on this picture, I chose the template in gray and black. What you are going to do is to first choose from all the looks you have, and then you can click on OK when you have found the right one. So let's go back to my output again. Why not take this gender of employee again, this one. I double click on it first, and then right click. And then I have a command called the table looks here. And if I click there, I will get all the one that is following the program, like blue, yellow, classic. Here is the shades of gray that you saw in my example. So let's try that. And if you want to do your own template, then you have to click on the edit look. But now I choose this one. And here it is. As you see, the 12 that I was changing to bold is not gray. So here is my table look. If you have something that you want to change in the graph, that's also something that you can do. Here's an example also from the web training I'm talking about before. And here I have changed to pink. And what you do is just exactly as you do in the table. You double click on the graph you want to change, and then you can start changing by using the properties window. And that's the window that you see just to the right of the graph. You must go to the right tab called Fill and Border, and then you choose the color. So I will show how to do that. So let's find the graph. We have it in the top here somewhere, so we can take this one. So first, as I said, double click, and then we come into the edit mode. And if you don't see the properties, then you can just click on this edit menu and then properties. Then you have these properties to the right here. And then what you do next is to click on the bar, if that's the one you want to change. And in my example, it is. So I click on the bars so you can see the yellow marking around. And then I click on the fill and border. And here you have all the colors. And I click on the orange one here and then apply. Then I close. So here is the orange one. But if you want a special color scheme for the graphs already from the beginning, then you have to do it in another way. So let's talk about that, because this was just editing after you have done a chart. So what you do and what you can do in version 25 is to decide from the beginning which color you want and which order you want. And you can also save this to syntax. So if you want to have a turquoise color, like in my example here, you can do that, and then your graph will get this turquoise color as the color number 1. Another thing that is very important to know is that you can have a special color after the RGB code, and you have it here in the red. So I think it's common in many companies that you have a special require colors in your marketing. So here you can have the exact color. You can also decide the order of color that will be followed when you have many categories in the graph. So if you see here, we have category 1, for example, in this is blue, the next one is red, the third category is green, and so on. And the benefit, as I said, is that you can save all these color settings into the syntax. That was not possible before version 25. Then you had to use the edit options instead, and I will also show that in the next PowerPoint. But first, just make a demo of this. First, I want to choose everyone back, because we have just selected 12 people, and that's not so interesting. So I go to the select cases command again, and I click all cases. Then OK. So everyone is now back here. Then I go to the graphs menu and I choose chart builder. We can do reset here, so we start from the beginning here. Good to see. And we can take this one, and job category we find here. I click drag and drop, so we have it here. And automatically I get this element properties dialog box here to the right. That's something that you get automatically in version 25. Then let's make some changings here. We have it here in the chart appearance tab. Here we have the colors. You can see it. It's a little bit grayed. So if you want to see it, you have to click here to use custom color. I would like to have category 1 as pink instead. So as it's marked already, I click on the pink one. But then I want to change category 7, so it's not pink here, it should be blue instead. So now I have made the change in the order of the colors here. If I click OK now, let's see what happens. I get a pink bar chart here. And as I only had one category variable, I will get only the pink color. If you want to see more colors, you must have a clustered bar chart instead. And then I want to put an extra category variable. So let's do that also. So I go to the chart builder command again, and I choose the cluster bar here. So you can just drag and drop it here. And then I put job category to the cluster on X set color here in the right upper corner. But I must have an X-axis variable also, so I put gender there, like this. So gender in the X-axis and job category here up. And then if I click OK, I can see that I got these colors. But I got the count one here. I would like to have percentages instead. So let's go back to the command again. So if I want to have, instead of count, percentages, I go here to the right part, count, and I change to percentage. But then you also have to define what kind of percentage you want to have, because you can have the grand total, that is the default, but I would like to have total for each X-axis category. So that means that you will have 100% per gender category. That's more interesting, I think. So let's see how that looks like. So here we have percent instead. And the smart thing is that you can save this as a syntax. So I go back again to the command, but instead of clicking on OK, I click on the paste button. And you will see in the syntax, every color has a special RGB code here. So the first code, this is for pink, color 2 is red, and so on. And I will come back how to edit this later. This is just the changings for this special graph here. But if you want to have the settings all the time you are doing graphs, then you should use the edit options instead. And this is also the place you go to if you have an older version of SPSS. So if you go to edit and then options, you can do your settings. And then the next thing is to click on the chart and then on the colors. And then you can see all the categories and you can change your order, and you will always get this order of categories when you are doing charts or graphs. So I click cancel here. So let's repeat this, the settings. What you do here, it's to choose first the command edit options, and then you click on the chart tab. That's number 1. And then number 2 is to click on the colors, and then 3, you choose the colors you want to have in each category. So now you have seen 3 things. You've seen edit a chart after it has been done, just by double click on it, and then how to change the colors within the dialog box, and that's before you do the graph or the chart. And then how you can change the color as a default settings by using the edit options. So let's go over to the data preparation part, and for that we use the transform menu. And I will go through both a simple calculation, and to that I use the compute command, and then I will use the automatic recode command for string variables. So let's start with a simple calculation. I would like to increase the salary with 5% for everyone. So that's what I'm going to show you in the demo. So let's jump over to the data file again, and I go to the salary. You can find it here. There is the salary. So I will increase the salary by 5% for each person. So transform compute variable, and here in the target variable you put the new name, salary rise I call it, and then numeric expression. Here is the calculation. And you can type it by hand, or you can use the left list of variables. So I click on monthly salary, put it in, and the star here, 1.05. So I will multiply salary with 1.05. That's the increase. So then click OK. Let's go over to the data window again, and we can see now that we have a new variable to the right here. And we can just compare with the old one. 26,000, 5% increase of that will be 27,339. So everyone has got an increase of 5%. So this was a very simple calculation. So just repeat what I did. I first used the command transform compute. Then I typed in the new name, salary rise on the new variable. And then I put in the calculation in the white box beside. And now we go over to the other transform command called automatic recode. Many years ago I worked with our market department, and they got Excel files that they should be opened into SPSS Statistics. But the marketing person, he always got a lot of string variables, and a string variable is the same as a text answers instead of number codes. But he wanted to get these string variable as numeric instead. So when I showed him that there were a command to use that automatically converted them to numeric, he said that this command was the best in SPSS Statistics because it saved his time a lot. So I will show how you do this. So what I will do is to change the string variable called overtime, and you can see there is 3 circles and a little a, and the a stands for alphanumeric, and that's a string variable. And the alphanumeric is because the answers are just in text format. It's yes or no. But I would like to convert this to numbers instead, because it's easier to work with numbers, for example, when you do select cases command that I showed earlier. And also some of the statistics commands is only possible to do when you do some analysis, and then you must have numerical variables, and you are not allowed to use string variables. And the good thing is that you will keep the text answers yes and no, and they will be value labels instead. So let's show that. And the automatic recode I will do for this overtime variable that we see here. So go to the transform, and then we have automatic recode here in the middle. I choose the string variable, the one with a little a, put it in here, and I write the new name, overtime 2. Then I choose the code order I want from the first or the last letter in the alphabet. And I use the default setting here. So no will be code as 1 and yes code 2, lowest value. Also, you can define if empty answers should be handled as missing values. That's good, I think. So all blank string values will be user missing. And then click OK. And let's have a look in the window. Here we have the new variable. You can see here overtime here. And we have no and yes still. But if I turn off the value labels by clicking here, you can see that we have the code 1 and 2. And when I turn off, we can see here that overtime here has still the letters answers here. If we have a look in the variable view, you can see that the new variable here has got the new value labels, no and yes. So I go back to the data view again and put the value labels on. So let's repeat this in PowerPoint. What I did was first to write a new name, overtime 2, and then I clicked on the add new name and then click on the extra codings definitions here. So now we have the last part, and that's the syntax part. The programming language that is behind all the commands is called syntax. This language has been there since 1968. And when I started to work with SPSS long time ago, it was around 1990. I think it was just before version 6. I only used this programming language. And it was the same when I used Macintosh. But when the Windows came, I could save a lot of time by just start doing the commands by using this paste button instead. And as you see, the command is pasted into the syntax window. I showed it last week. And then you can run the command by marking the text and click on the green triangle from the toolbar. So I will show you how to change the command today. So we go over to the syntax window here. So let's do a very simple one. I go to the frequencies command that we did before of gender, and instead of clicking OK, I click on paste. Here I can just add another variable like overtime 2, my new one, and I have to spell it right like that. If I know, just mark it and click here. We will see if it works. Yes, I got 2 new tables here. But if I want some other variables, let's go back to the syntax again. Maybe I should do it a little bit bigger, this font, so you see it easier. So let's do it as 18. So I would like to have the job category and the agreement here also. And if you don't remember, just take the variable tool that I talked about earlier here. And if I just put the marker on the right place first, and then I can just double click on the variable I want. So for example, job category we have here, I can paste it in, or I can double click. So if we take, for example, agreement here, agreement, I have double clicked it in. So now we have 4 variables here. Take away it, and I mark and click on the green triangle, and we can see that I get 4 frequency tables here. Let's also go to the code for graph. It was a longer one, as you see here, and talk a little bit about the RGB code. So my department of the marketing has told me, for example, to use a dark blue color in the beginning. So let's change that. And I also got the number from this person. It should be 63, and it should be 90 here, and the last code should be 168. And I don't need all of this, so I can take away all these colors that we have here. So let's see what happens now if we do this chart again. So I mark all this and click on the green triangle. And now we can see that the first category is dark blue, the manager, as you see here. So now it's time for the summary. And today we have gone through all this. I will shortly go through what we have done today. So first, we started with the data management, split and select. Split is when you analyze all groups, but it's split it up. And analyze with the select cases before is when you just analyze one selected group. I also showed how to split the data window if you want to look and scroll the window. And then we went to the editing, the edit of a table, and we also edit chart after. But we also edit a chart before we made the chart, and that's in the dialog box before we do the command. And we also use the edit options to set the settings as a default. And then we came into the transform menu, the data preparation, and we used simple calculation in the compute command and also the automatic recode command to convert the string variables to the numeric ones. And at the same time, we kept the text as value labels. And finally, I showed how to change in a syntax. I showed the graph command with all the color RGB codes also. And as you know, there are a lot of modules in SPSS Statistics, but today I worked with base module. So thanks a lot for taking the time to join this webinar, and also don't forget the next time, the 3rd of October, when I will have a more advanced session. So thank you very much for joining this webinar, and welcome back.